Deconverted man here. How's it going? Oh dear. Okay, so here's this guy made a video. How can we know that God really exists? And in the little description here, he's got a little thing I want to read. So I'm gonna make that a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. And girls and robots. Does God exist? Is there any proof of his existence? How should we answer atheists and skeptics who make the claim that God does not exist? How can we be prepared to defend our faith with arguments of God's existence? In this video, I'll provide 6 evidence of God's existence. Enjoy. Oh, by evidence, you actually mean bad arguments, right? You don't actually mean evidence because you don't have evidence. You have arguments. Arguments are not evidence. Why? Why is this a thing? Why is it a thing so many times? Like, why is this? Anyways, all right. So, the other interesting thing I'll comment on is the his thing. It's like you're already assuming that God's a he. I know you don't mean he, but still, you mean your God. You don't care about other gods. You care about your particular God. Okay? How can we know that Yahweh is the God? You can't. In fact, the very fact that you have faith and you're saying defend faith means it's a faith. It's a belief. A belief is not something that you know for sure, or you wouldn't call it a belief. You just call it a fact. Okay, anyways. All right. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Some tangible proof that we actually do have a God who exists.
And by proof, you mean bad arguments.
In this video, we are going to give you 6 proofs of God's existence.
No, you're going to give 6 bad arguments. They are not proofs. That is not... No.
Coming up. So click the link. I can't smell you see in our universe is just happening by chance. So here are 6 proofs that I want to give you. And 2 of them come from the Bible and the other 4...
Okay, so those 2 that come from the Bible, I'm probably going to ignore. I'm going to comment on it anyways, but I mean, I don't care that it comes from the, you'd have to then prove that the Bible is something I should care about. So, you need another argument on top of it. Oh, well.
Do not. The first proof is what we'll call an internal witness. Now, this...
An internal witness as a proof. Oh, boy. Here we go. So personal experience? Okay. Let's listen. I guess I'll play it and then I'll make my skeptical pokes.
This is the idea that deep down inside of every single human being, there is this deep internal sense that there must be a God who exists. I want you to...
Okay, so this is a universal claim that he has just made. And you would have to prove that this universal claim is true, and any one human that does not possess this trait would be a counterfactual and negate this idea. Not only do we have one human, we have several humans. So I can never pronounce their tribe name right, but there's this Piana tribe that does not believe in God, does not have an idea of God, doesn't, they however you want to say the dang name, I can't. I'm gonna put it on the screen here. Just let me pull it up, that there. That's the link to the video itself. Put it on the screen. Okay, let me get that on the screen here. All right. So, all right. All right. Good. Here we go. So, Daniel Everett went to go convert the Amazonian, however you want to say that, Peoria tribe. And they don't have any concept of God. So, there you go. There's your counterfactual to what you said. So There's a whole tribe of people that have no idea about God. Plus, there's people that were never introduced to the concept of God until later in life, and they just didn't have a belief about God. And of course, then we have equivocation. And equivocation comes in because the word God. A lot of people use the word God, but that doesn't mean that the word God means the same thing to every person. So what somebody means when they say that they think that there's a God might be different than what you say when you say that you think there's a God. But regardless, you've claimed a universal that everybody deep down has this belief or intuition that there's a God, and it's not true. All we need is one example, and we have that. We have more than that. So, oopsie.
Notice here what Paul says about unbelieving Gentiles, not Christians, unbelievers in Romans chapter 1. He says in verse 21, for although they knew gods, let's stop right there. He says that
actually, it's interesting you pull up this particular verse. You said that this is about unbelievers. This is about Gentiles. What Bible are you reading? Because that's not
in
correct.
Romans chapter 1. He says in verse 21, for although they knew gods. Let's stop.
So Romans 12, 21, 25. I wonder if he read the actual context, if that's what it would say. 21. What am I right? 12, 21, 25. Okay. Bible Gateway. Let's see. Is that really? No, that doesn't. No, that can't be it. Let's see. Where is he? Romans 12, 21, 25. Okay. Yeah, you would think a perfect being would, have a better way to have us look through stuff in the Bible, but 21, 25. Wait, what? Yeah, 12, 21. I see what I did. I looked up the wrong thing. I'm stupid. Romans. Wait a minute. Yeah, 12, 21, 25. 12, 21, 20. I'm sorry. But yeah, okay. So 12, 21, 25, blah, 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 13. Oh, wait. God. 12, 20, 12, 21. Okay, so if you actually bother to read this in context, he's not talking to Gentiles. He's talking to Gentiles, the non-Jews, but they have beliefs in gods. It's just different gods. So it's not that they don't believe in God; they don't believe in the Jewish God. So they but who cares about the context? Just go ahead and lie. Yeah, any organization that has truth in its title is where your truth t-shirt is almost guaranteed to be lying to you. Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, at least it didn't capitalize T. But anyway,
stop right there. He says that unbelievers, deep down in their spirit, they know God. They know there has to be a God out there.
Right, and that's not true. So what Paul says is not true, and you would have to show that the Bible's true. And in that particular verse, he's talking to people that believe in a God, just not the same God. So you're wrong. You're basic. Moving on.
There somewhere. Now look at verse 25. What do they do with it? They exchanged the truth about God for a lie. So at some point, an unbeliever, they know in their heart there's a God. They may not believe in Jesus.
And again, you're not reading the thing in full. And not only you're not reading the thing full, these are people that believe in a god or gods, and this is what Paul is saying about them. Why should I care what Paul says? I shouldn't. So yeah,
they may struggle at 5,000 times that there is a God, and they exchange that truth. Since what may be known about God is plain to them.
Yeah, again, this is Paul just preaching. That's all this is. It's just another guy preaching what he believes is true. This isn't, this is one of the two arguments that is from the Bible. So this isn't going to convince me. Basically, you're asserting something that I know to not be true. You are telling me you secretly believe in God. No, I do not. You cannot tell me what I believe or don't believe. You don't get to just do that. I could have a book that says, you secretly know that there isn't a God. Well, that's not fair, is it? No, that's not how things work. Stop trying to be a mind reader. It doesn't work. Moving on.
He has needed to do plain. God has made it so plain that
if it was so plain, then there wouldn't be any non-believers. There wouldn't be atheists. There wouldn't be skeptics. So obviously, it's not plain. Not only that, but there's people that believe in different gods that are not your God. So God has not made it plain for the very fact that people have different beliefs. If it was so plain, so obvious, then I would suspect that a lot more people would believe in a particular God, but they don't.
The Bible says in Psalm 14:1, a fool says,
oh, geez. And if you read the rest of the Psalm, you would know that it's not talking about, again, it's not talking about non-believers. So this doesn't matter. Anyway, so none of that mattered. So that was the first one, the first non-argument that first you'd have to establish that the Bible is anything that we can trust, reliably verify. What system did you use? Why should we care what Paul says? You didn't do any of that, so none of that matters. So that's the first argument, just completely knocked down there. Also, this idea of an internal witness. Secretly I know that there's a God, but I'm just suppressing it because, whatever. I just didn't like it. And since I know that that's not true, then that argument doesn't work at all.
Idea that not only has God placed it in the heart of every person, deep down intrinsically, that they know that there has to be a God somewhere out there, but now God has left enough proof externally, specifically in nature, to be able to look around, and anyone with any rational thought should be able to come to the conclusion that, oh, okay, well, because I see this, and because this works this way, and because we have enough sunlight and we have enough rainfall.
So this is the classic, look around, look at the trees, look at the flowers, look at this. How do you explain this? It's got to be God. And I love that, throw in there, and anyone with sense can come to this conclusion. No, we look at it and we go, oh, that's interesting. I wonder how that tree got there. Magic. Yeah, you could conclude that. You'd be wrong, but you could conclude it. So that's not how we should do things. And our own intuition is often wrong. Our intuition could not have come to the conclusion about atoms and molecules existing. That's something that we had to find through diligent data gathering by looking at, the world and not just assuming that we had the answer, but finding the actual answer. So, and again, if it was so obvious of a particular God, then more people would believe in a particular God instead of just generic ideas of different types of gods.
Off whenever we get cut and all these different things, right? God says, I've left enough proof and the body heals itself whenever.
Okay, the body heals itself. Yeah, that's due to evolution.
we get cut and all these different things, right? God says,
but what's interesting is the body doesn't heal itself in ways that we couldn't explain by nature alone. So anyway.
I've left enough proof for you to know that I exist. He says once again in Romans chapter 1, verse 2, and divine nature, number 3, have been what?
Yeah. So this one, I love this one, that the invisible qualities are clearly seen. How could people read this and not see the contradiction? I just don't.
God says, listen, you won't be, that man will be without excuse.
Yeah,
okay,
whatever.
So now these next 4 proofs are what we'll call the traditional proofs that people have given over hundreds of years, centuries of years. And the first one we'll look at is what's called the cosmological argument. And
okay, so the first non-proof that you're going to offer is a broken argument base that's going to probably be the Kalam cosmological argument or something like it. And it's let's ignore what science really has to say on the matter. Let's pretend that we know things that we can't possibly hope to know. And then let's just assert that those things are actually true. And then do this deductive argumentation and pretend that it works, even though it doesn't. That's all it is. Here we go.
This word comes from the idea of cosmos, or the universe.
Yeah, we know that.
I'm going to go ahead and read an excerpt from Wayne Grudem's Systematic Theology book, which describes it in this way. He says, every known...
All right, so this is, let's see, it looks a lot like the Kalam. It's a version of it. So every known thing in the universe has a cause. No, you don't know that. Wrong. So you've made a universal claim. Well, actually, wait a minute. This is worded a little bit better. Give credit where credit's due. So every known thing, okay, in the universe has God. So that's not a universal claim, because you're saying the things that we know about have a cause. However, you're still being a little bit dishonest, because we have the potential in quantum physics that we might not have causes. Also, you kind of need to explain what you mean by cause. And the parts of a thing do not necessarily tell us how the larger thing works. So the bits and components of the universe do not necessarily tell us how the universe itself works. So this is another fallacy. The trying to dredge it up from memory. I want to say the parts in the whole. Fallacy of composition. So what's true of the whole from the fact some of the is true of some of the parts of the whole. So yeah, the fallacy of composition. So that's what this is. And you also have the fallacy of division. So similar to that, where reasons that something is true for a whole must be true of some of its parts. So that's all this is. And therefore, the universe itself has to have a cause, and that can only be God. Wow, just jump right to that. I mean, how do you get from that to that? It's just there's no connecting premise there. There's no there's nothing to show association causation. So you'd have premise 1, which would be every known thing in the universe has a cause. Then you'd have premise 2, the universe itself has to have a cause. And you'd have the conclusion being it has to be God. So it doesn't follow. There's your other logical fallacy for this particular version of this argument, is it simply doesn't follow. No association causation. So it's the second fallacy in this. And then you've got the fallacy of composition. You've also got potential equivocation. You also have potential half-truth, because it might be the case that quantum physics, there isn't causes in the classical sense. And of course, you didn't define cause. And I dare say the formal fallacy of failure to give an argument, because you didn't argue for what God is. You just asserted that God is a thing in the first place. So that covers that one.
This phone had to have a cause of some sort. Something had to
Is this really a redux of the watchmaker argument at this time?
cause this phone to be here, right? Or this cup.
Yeah,
right?
okay, we got it.
Tracing the cause back and say, okay, well, what caused the plastic to be on this?
Right, and then you get to the point where you get to God and you say, God is exempt from this rule for reasons. There isn't a cause of God. God just is. So everything except for this one thing has a cause. This is special pleading. That's all it's ever been. And theists just try to pretend that it's okay because, well, but you have to have a first cause that's uncaused. Okay, then you don't need a cause then. If you have something that can be uncaused, then you don't, then the rule doesn't always apply. So you can't have it both ways. All right, let's get
basically going to end up with a universe with nothing in it except stars, sun, moon, or whatnot. And then at this point, we have two options. Option one, God caused the universe that we have today. If you get to that conclusion that God is the source and the cause of everything, then you've already gotten to the place that you need to be. Now,
why do you need to be there? Why do you need to be in that? And then again, it's interesting because just believing in God wouldn't be enough to necessarily save your soul, depending on the branch of theology that you're using here. So this is just, hey, join my group. No, really, I just need you to believe in God. Doesn't matter what kind of God, just believe in God. But, I mean, you still have all your work ahead of you. So it's not, anyways.
Now, the other possibility in terms of how we got our universe is this idea of the Big Bang Theory.
Uh-oh. He said that's a possibility? So right here, he's given a false dichotomy because he said these are the two options. There isn't another option, which there's plenty of other options than these two. God did it or the Big Bang Theory. That's the two options. Magic did it. Well, time travelers, how about that? We could have time travelers go back to the past and time travelers made the Big Bang go, made the universe. Oh no, parallel universe to this universe made the universe. Aliens, made it. It made itself. God did exist, died in order to make the universe. I mean, and so on. So there's many other options than this. But if you're gonna say the Big Bang Theory, well, then that's it. That's the best. One of the best explanations we have right now. I know there's some others in cosmology, and maybe they're gaining traction and gaining popularity. So it could be that this theory is, surpassed in some, by some other theory in cosmology. But if you're putting a scientifically known thing versus something that you have not proven, then we have to go with the scientific thing. So your whole thing here, you just failed on because we have to go with the known, not the unknown and unproven.
But then you're stuck there because if you go with that route, then you have to come up with some sort of conclusion or explanation, if you will, on what caused the Big Bang.
No, you don't. But I mean, I know you don't understand science, so that's fine.
And then you have to come up with the explanation of who was the person who actually caused it. And then,
okay, by saying who, that you're loading a pre-assumption into the question. You're assuming there's a who. Why would you ever assume that there's a who? If you're doing that, then you've already made up your mind. You're saying, oh, who caused it? Well, how about what caused it? You know what? How about we don't even do that? Because we don't want to assert that there was a cause. How came to be? What happened here? Did anything happen? How does this work? How do we view this? How do we understand it? And it's difficult. It's very difficult to conceive of and talk about the cosmology of the Big Bang because our normal way of processing things just doesn't really work when it comes to this. You know, time doesn't exist. What was that like? Well, there isn't anything. There's no time, okay, and there's also no space. So there's no where and no when. Well, what's that? Is that nothing? No, because it doesn't exist. There is no non-existence. So then you have the start of time space. And you say, well, but how did that happen? We don't know. We have no idea yet. But you don't have to explain that. But this is kind of like where they'll talk about evolution and say, oh, but you haven't figured out abiogenesis yet. You're talking about the Big Bang theory that explains the stuff that happened after the T1 point. When you say, well, how do you explain the thing that's before the T1 point? We don't yet, or but it's being worked on. People are trying to figure it out. But you can't just assert something as the answer until you've demonstrated that that thing can even be an answer in the first place.
And who was the person who created the two things or however many things that came together to make the Big Bang? And so if you keep tracing those things back, you'll ultimately get back to there has to be a cause for this. And that cause is God, who we call the uncaused cause.
Right. And there you have it. So you grant that there can be an uncaused cause, which means that not everything has to have a cause. So if not everything has to have a cause, then why does the universe have to have a cause? Carl Sagan said, why not save a step? Instead of asserting that there's a God, just say, the universe doesn't have a cause. If you can have a God with no cause, we can have a universe with no cause. And you can't just say, well, no, because it's different. No. If you're allowed the special exception to the rule that everything needs a cause, and then you say, well, but this doesn't need a cause, well, then there isn't a rule. That's why it's special pleading.
Okay, so the fourth argument is called the teleological argument, and that comes from the word telos, which is from the idea of end or purpose. Now, this argument, basically, I'm going to read back from Wayne Grudem's Systematic Theology book, and he says it focuses on the evidence of harmony, order, and design in the universe, and argues that its design gives evidence of an intelligent purpose.
All right, so the appearance of design does not mean that there was, in fact, a design. The problem for the theist is that everything is a watch. The classic watchmaker argument. You come across a watch on a beach, and you know that it's different than you've never seen a watch, and you examine it and you try to figure out, and you notice it's so intricate it can't and so you know that it had to be designed, blah 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 blah. But everything is a watch because the tree also, that's really complicated, and so it's got to have a designer and everything. So everything you look at, including things that are just done by nature, are actually designed by this God. So you could never point at anything that is not designed as a comparison. And so this causes a problem because the skeptic wants to point to, say, a rock formation that looks like a face. And there's plenty of rocks that look like a face, or things like this. I'm trying to find the rock that looks like an Indian. I know it's there. It is. Okay. I think that this one was carved though. Maybe not. But there are rocks that appear to be designed to look like a person or whatever. Now, we're really good at facial recognition, so we infer the pattern on the face of the face to these rocks. the waves and whatnot caused it to be carved in this way. But it's not been carved by human hands. So it's been carved by nature over time, and it happens to look designed, even though it wasn't designed to be that. But for the theist, oh, well, God is using the water to hit the rocks in order to get the rocks to look like a face to show that God exists because reasons. There was also the face on Mars was a big deal, and of course, if you zoomed out, it didn't look like it's just one rock among many, and it didn't look like a face anymore. So we're really, really good at, in fact, the man in the moon. Look at the moon. Well, it looks kind of like a face. Oh, that must have been designed to look like a face. Or no, that's just what it looks like. So this is complete and utter garbage as an argument. It's not even worth calling it an argument. As far as harmony, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. Order, don't know what you mean by that. What about black holes? Black holes don't seem very orderly. They crush everything in their gravitational well. I don't know that about you. I don't think that that's orderly. I mean, are you saying that that's God's vacuum cleaner or something? And then you infer design by just saying design in the universe. So that you're already concluding your conclusion. So circular reasoning. And the intelligent purpose is, again, just inferred. You're just saying that it's like, well, but you could have, if it's badly designed, then that would infer a bad designer, wouldn't it? So even if you granted this, you could say, sure, but then you have a really bad designer. Because, like, why would you have black holes? Why would you have supernovas? Like, why would you make the universe this way instead of a different way? Like, and you didn't just point to the human body and go, look at this. Look at this mess. Look at it. Why? Why did you give men nipples? We don't need breasts. Men don't need breasts at all. We don't need them. Why did you, put the fun zone next to the waist zone? You didn't need to do that. Why did you make it that where we eat is also next to where we breathe? You could have given us completely separate things for that. You could have put, like, the holes where we breathe out. In fact, you know what? Okay, hey, give us a purpose for breasts, okay? Make it that we can breathe in and out of our breasts, because that's right next to the lungs. So there could be tubes that go, straight from your nipples to your lungs, and that would open and close for breathing on its own. You wouldn't have to think about it, and you eat and talk with your mouth, and some air is diverted up there, but the air that's diverted up there is completely separate from the air that you breathe, and so there's no way you can ever choke. Wow, there you go. I just improved the design. So I'm a better God than your God. So that's a problem. But whatever, so, and then if we try to put this in syllogistic format, well, there's just no, okay, so there's evidence that harmony, order, design would be what? Premise one, and then the design is evidence of an intelligent. No, it doesn't work. You can't even put this in a syllogistic format. So I'm going to say malformatted as and a lot of course, just question begging and circular argumentation, because you're including design, you're including purpose, and you haven't argued that those things are warranted. So that argument fails.
That we have today, it necessitates that there had to be an intelligent design or designer, that everything that we see didn't just come from happenstance, right? The sun being in a position that it is, it's not just happen. It doesn't just happen to be there. If it was further away, we would freeze up. If it was closer,
okay, so this is the fine tuning. Well, actually, if the sun would have to be significantly, actually it's the Earth's position to the sun, not the sun's position to us, but it would have to be significantly farther away for it to matter. It'd have to be significantly closer for it to matter. Okay? And also, it's God. Why does it need to conform to certain parameters and laws and rules? Why couldn't it just be that we lived on the sun and we'd be like, hey, this is impossible. We shouldn't be able to live here. And be like, yeah, you're right. We should be burning up right now, but we're not. It feels kind of cool here. What's the deal with that? Or just, put us in the spiritual realm so you don't even have a physical universe. Just do that. No. So we all get to see you 24/7. It's like you come into existence and you see God. There you go. That would be good, wouldn't it? I mean, why can't we do it that way? No. Now we gotta hide behind, I'm gonna make this sun, I'm gonna make this planet, I'm gonna put them, a little bit. If they were much closer or further apart, then all these people wouldn't exist. And that's gonna hint that I exist, because I have to hide. I have to hide because reasons. It's so stupid.
We would burn up. There is an intelligent design that sun right in the ideal situation.
No. And the other thing, okay, so there's how many solar systems out there? Millions, billions, trillions? I don't know. There's a lot. There's an insane number. So given that the number of planets and solar systems out there is insanely high, if you have any conditions that allow for life to develop, it can develop, then it will develop, then you have life. So of course we would find life where life can be, which is here. So this is the weak anthropic principle. If it's not extraordinary to find that we are on a place that allows for life to be. Just working backwards, and that's all this ever is. It's just, but it's so finely tuned. It's not really that finely tuned, Anyways.
There's an intelligent design that knows just how much rainfall needs to come down on this earth, where if it's too much, we'll drown. If it's not enough, we won't be able to survive.
Wait a minute, but people do drown. That doesn't make any sense. People do drown. So, wait, but, so what's the intelligence of that? Why are there floods then? There should never be floods. I mean, it's just, it's so dumb.
There's an intelligence going on that's sustaining everything.
No.
Let's break it down into simpler terms. Let's once again go back to the cell phone. This cell phone is made of batteries, resistors, capacitors, and who knows what else. Plastic, if you will, whatever. So if I just take a whole bunch of parts from a store, Radio Shack, I get a whole bunch of parts, batteries, resistors, and I throw them all in this cup. And
this is their tornado analogy, and it doesn't work because it doesn't. This is the Legos all over again. You guys and girls and robots out there, do you all remember me looking at that video for kids where the gal threw the Legos on the floor that weren't Legos, and then I went completely insane at her? Do you remember that? If you weren't there, you didn't watch it, go watch it. Not right now. Wait until I'm done with this. But yeah, it's the same thing. Well, if you threw all this out, it wouldn't assemble. Yeah, because that's not how things work, you Nimrod. So, for your analogy to actually matter, you'd have to have your filtering mechanism of death. And in this case, we would mimic that with, do these components work together? If they work together, then we keep them. If they do not work together, then we toss it away and we try it again until we get components that work together. And we continue to do this until, we have this complex system. But no, you're going to ignore that because you don't understand it. You don't want to understand it. And you want your broken analogy is broken. So
shake them up, then I can call people all across the world, right? It doesn't work like that, right?
That's right, because nobody claims that's how it works.
So this idea of just throwing things together and causing them to bang together doesn't necessarily result, or will not result, in something that is going to work, right?
Now let me talk about this. Now, usually I would not be one to harp on somebody not being able to say a word right, because goodness knows I can't say words right. That already shows that you are not designed in a decent way as much as your phone is. Your phone will... did you mean this word? Yeah, that's what I meant. You know? Like, before it gets to my mouth, there should be like, oh, you really mean to say this. So then I would never, not be able to say a word because my brain would like autocorrect it, right? But that's not what happens. That's not what happens. So your phone is better designed than you are. So that means we are better designers than our designer? Okay. Anyways.
So the idea is that as we look at our world, as we look at even childbirth, how babies are born, the miracle of childbirth, and all sorts of other things,
how are baby born? How baby get formed? How work? So what about like conjoined twins and stillbirth and what's that? He's not going to address any of that? Oh, okay.
To be an intelligent designer that is behind all these things that are making it work. Now, the fifth argument is what's called the moral argument.
Oh,
this
God.
is the idea that...
No! Moral without ethics. I hate this. Like, what ethical system underpins your morals? I just complained about this recently, that people have, this is like kind of an outrage culture. You've heard that term, that people are like, oh, the person did a bad thing. I can never watch them again. I can't listen to them. I can't see them. Gotta erase them from the internet and pretend like they never existed. Gotta purge them because they did something immoral. Oh, they had sex. Oh my goodness, people shouldn't have sex. And now, okay, it might have been, with people that are, it might have been illegal. Yeah, I don't know, and that's bad. That's bad. You shouldn't do that. But then you face your consequence in court, not like society going, well, you bad person, wiggle my finger at you, But anyways, well, this is a interesting assertion. The golden rule is the ethical system which underpins religious morality. No, it's not. Not even close. And the golden rule isn't very well constructed as it's usually written anyways. But no, the underpinning of ethics in most religions is divine command theory. God said to do or not to do this thing, and that's why you should do or not do it. So the moral argument is essentially, he's going to go over this, is about morals being objective, which you can view morals as objective without a God. But you have to then talk about ethics, which he's not going to talk about. So I will, but let's play it so I can, I'm telling you what he's going to say, and then let's hear him say the thing that I said he was going to say.
Basically, inherent in every single person who has ever existed is this idea of right and wrong. Now, do some people go against their own conscience and do wrong?
Not inherent in everybody, because you have sociopaths who don't know what right and wrong is. So already you've made a claim that's false. Okay, go ahead, though.
Of course, we all do. But inherently, let's be honest, we all have a common sense of certain things being right and certain things being wrong.
Yeah, I said I was going to play the whole thing, and I lied, I guess. There's no such thing as common sense. I made a whole video on that a long time ago. Whatever, anyways.
We understand that it is wrong to molest a child. We understand that it is wrong to take the innocent life of somebody. We understand all these things are wrong. Where did that come from? Where did
society? There you go. So this is let's ask a question and pretend that well, where did it come from? Okay, so there's many ways to go about this. If my answer is I do not know, what does that mean to you? Does that mean that the answer must therefore be something else? No. Let's just pretend we didn't have the answer. Then what? Then that's it. That's where that ends. We don't have the answer, and that's the end of that. But we do have the answer. We know that morality and ethics evolved through society and time. In fact, we can look at other cultures and look at Islam, for example, and look at the fact that they have marriage at 9 years old for women. Well, they call them, consider them women at 9, and you can an older guy, whatever age guy, can marry a 9-year-old. Now in America, this is illegal. In America, I think the youngest you could possibly marry is 14, but it might be down to 12, but I'm pretty sure, without looking it up, it's 14 is the youngest, but feel free to correct me. I could be wrong. So, but yes, that's only in certain states, and you have to have the judge agree, you have to have the parents agree, but you could be in this weird legal situation where that you're married to somebody, but you're not allowed to have sex with them at a federal level. I don't know how that would work, but okay. So, but the thing is, that culture of Islam and the fact that we still have on the books laws that allow you to marry people at younger ages means that morals are still evolving. You can say, well, it's wrong to molest children. It's wrong to molest anybody or any creature, period. It's not the age, it's the molestation that's wrong. Okay, well, why is that wrong? Because you are inflicting your will upon somebody else. You're doing something to them that they did not want done to them. And well, why is that wrong? Because you don't want it done to you, presumably. So it's wrong in the sense that it doesn't benefit society as a whole, that if everyone did this, then everybody would be equally hurt, and that wouldn't be a good thing, and it wouldn't work for a cohesive society. So these things evolve with us over time, and the ones that promote the benefit of the individual and the group very well will survive, and the ones that don't fade away and die off. So there was societies where cutting off people's heads was seen as perfectly normal and something that you do to appease the gods to get better crops the next time around. And even though the crops may or may not be good the next time around, you still cut off the people's heads because that's just what you do. All right.
Where did this idea of this is right and no, this is wrong come from? It had to have come from God, because
no, it came from people.
If it didn't come from God, then that means that every single person on earth would have their own separate standard of morality.
And they do. Every single person just about has their own standard of morality. And we can already see that that's the case. Again, just the fact that Islam still allows, people at 9 years old to be married or whatever. And I would assume that having sex is in there. I'm just assuming, like, why would you marry somebody, just to marry them? I mean, maybe, maybe that's the case. But, and the fact that we debate morals with each other, and we say, well, that's wrong. And we say that that's okay. This is wrong. That's right. It's wrong to have sex before marriage. Well, why? Well, because it just is. Well, no, that's what you said. I don't think it's wrong to have sex before marriage. In fact, that might actually be a benefit. That might actually be a good thing to explore different ideas and people before you settle down. And, well, monogamy is a good thing in marriage. Well, that's another idea. Maybe for you it is, but maybe for somebody else it's not. And people have, open marriages. Well, that's wrong. Why? Because I don't like it. Well, that's you. That's not them. You're not them. So already what he said is the case. People have different morals.
Versus there being a general common morality that is shared amongst all human beings, and that could have only come from a morally perfect being.
No, it could have come from just how we evolved throughout time. The societies that promote the individual well-being and the well-being of the collective whole in good amounts, not perfect amounts, but in well enough amounts, will survive. So the societies where chopping off heads was a common thing didn't really survive. There might be a few of them still out there, don't get me wrong, but they're kind of gone. And usually, and then over time, people that change from humans to, well, let's do it with chickens. Then maybe we don't need to do it with the chickens because we kind of need to eat the chickens. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to offer up our time to the god. So instead of sacrificing the chicken or the person, we're going to now sacrifice time and say words into the air, and that will appease the gods. So over time, the evolution of that morality changes because it benefits the society to not kill people because that's a resource you're losing, to not kill the chickens because that's a resource you're losing, and to instead kill some time, which, yeah, that's a resource you're losing, but the person could lose that resource right before they go to bed, so really you're not losing much of anything. And it only takes a few moments, if that, to do it, and you're still appeasing the gods by saying the magical words out loud. Or, you know what, you could say it in your head. You say whatever it is in your head. Hey, thanks for the day, God. Okay, I've appeased the God for the day. Tomorrow's going to be a good day because I did that.
God. Okay, and the sixth and final proof is a difficult one.
Wow, wait a minute. He didn't actually do the moral argument. I'm surprised. He didn't talk about morals being objective. He just said that we have common morality and then just asserted that that's only from God. Wow, that's not even an argument. No, nothing for me to, just not an argument. That's it.
To wrap your mind around, and it's the ontological argument. And the idea here is, if you can imagine some great maximal being,
Okay, so the maximal pizza must exist. This is the stupidest argument. Because you can imagine something, and then you can imagine it all the way up until you can't imagine anything greater, then the greater thing is that thing actually exists, then doesn't exist. So, okay. All right. Let's try this. All right. I imagine the highest amount of money that I can, which is like, I don't know, some 99 trillion dollars. I don't know, $9,999 trillion. Yeah, I could probably get higher than that, but right now that's where I'm going. Okay, that's what my brain has said. That's the biggest number I can think of right now. Okay, so it's better that I have that money in reality than just in my mind. Therefore, I must have that money in reality. Where's my $1 trillion? It's not here. Why? Because you can't just argue things into existence. And it doesn't matter that you can come up with a being that you think is the maximally great being, because I can always add another thing that's more maximal than your idea of maximal. And so this whole thing is rather subjective, and it's not an argument that follows, because if it worked, then utopia would exist. because that's the maximally greatest society that's possible, and it would exist in reality because it's better that it exists in reality than not at all. Let's hear the argument. That's not an argument. Let's hear. Go ahead.
You will, right? If you can imagine that being in your mind that can do all these things, that's all powerful, all knowing, that is all sovereign and in control of all things. But if that being only exists in your mind and you're only able to just imagine him, but he doesn't really exist, then that means by default, he can't be the maximum being, i.e. God. There has to be another being out there that is greater than the one that you've actually imagined, because now this being not only exists in your consciousness, but also exists actually in reality as well. And so therefore, there has to be a greater God. If there, basically the argument is this: if you can imagine that there is a possibility of there being a God, then that means there has to exist the fact that there is a God.
And like I said, that doesn't work. You can't just imagine things into existence. If this worked, then, you know, like I said, I have infinite money. Well, why is it limited to being? Maybe you want to constrain it to being. But why is existing greater than not existing? Just because you can imagine it doesn't make it so. And I can imagine a maximally great sheep. Does that mean a maximally great sheep exists? No. It's silly. It doesn't work. That's not how things work in reality. And I want my maximally great pizza. So.
Yeah, I know. That's a tough one to wrap your mind around.
No, yeah.
I get it. Okay, my friends.
It's broken and it doesn't work. And you didn't even present it in syllogistic format. You didn't present any of this in syllogistic format. That's it. That's the end of his video. The rest of it is just him wrapping it up. That's all I've got. That's it. He's done. He's given us nothing. No evidence, no argument, no anything. Just broken arguments and aren't even arguments. Okay, now I want to talk about this. Is this, okay, so murder, is this not obviously a moral act that we've universally recognized cross-culturally? Okay, so the legal system defines murder as unlawful killing of an individual, okay? So if you are sent to war, you are not murdering the enemy. You are killing them because you are being ordered lawfully to go kill that person that's on, you know, the other side, the bad guys, quote unquote. Well, bad guys from your country's perspective, you know. So, you know, America and France go to war. The France thinks, you know, the Americans are the bad guys. America thinks the France are the bad guys, and they go and try to kill each other. They're not murdering each other. Neither side is murdering each other because it's not illegal. It's not murder because it's been sanctioned by the government. So that's the problem with the word murder, is all you have to do is say, well, this isn't illegal. We've decided that, you know, this type of killing is fine. You can kill people here, you can kill people there, and then it's not murder. It's just killing. The death penalty is an example of non-murder. Why? Because in some states they decided that it's okay to eliminate somebody by force that presumably they don't want to die, but we're going to do something to them to make them die, but it's not murder because we said it wasn't murder. So the problem is murder immoral? Well, it depends. If you think that anything that's against the law is immoral, then it would be. So running a red light under that ethical system, and there's actually an ethical system about following the law. Under that system, running a red light would be immoral. Any illegal thing, you know, let's say you parked and you didn't pay the thing, you know, you didn't pay the quarter, that was immoral. Now, the fact that you make up for it later by paying some large, insane ticket doesn't make it okay, but you know, that's how you I don't know. That's how you resolve it. Maybe you feel bad about it. So it is common, perhaps, to have laws that restrict or attempt to restrict people killing each other by saying, unless we approve it, you're not allowed to do this, because it's not a good thing for people to go about willy-nilly killing people. We don't like that. It doesn't work. If everybody carries a gun and I can just shoot whoever I want, well, they can shoot me, fair enough, but who's going to be left alive? Not very many people, perhaps. So because of that, we're going to say, if you shoot somebody, we will attempt to kill you and or capture you and put you far away from society, and you will lose your freedom and other privileges, probably. So you know, in this society, that you don't want to be killed, presumably, and you also don't want to lose your freedom, presumably. And so those things make you go, I'm not going to, just go around shooting people because they might shoot me. And I don't want to get captured and I don't want to go to jail. But some people do it anyways. A while back, I don't know, it's been a while now, but I bring it up because it's still on my mind. There was 2 murders right outside my house, right outside my residence. There was somebody shot in the face. He was shot, and then somebody else was shot later and killed. 2 people. They got the guy that did it. The guy's in jail now. I was like, and I want an update to this story because I want to know why. Why did he do this? What possible reason was there to do that? I mean, he had to know he was going to get caught. Maybe he didn't believe he would get caught in the moment. I don't know. Maybe he was high or drunk. Who knows? But it doesn't make it okay. Those guys are gone now. Whatever things they could have given to society are gone. That's why we view it as not being good. But you could say, well, if he was told by the state to take those people out, it wouldn't have been murder. It would have just been killing. And it would have been okay. He wouldn't have gone to jail. He was told to do it by the state. So it's not murder. So now, is it moral because it's not illegal? If you're under the ethical system of legality, then yeah, anything legal would be fine. So it depends on your ethical system. All right. Okay, let's see. In Christian theology, original sin arises from perceiving yourself separate from nature. Well, according to you, I mean, different people have different views of this. Depends what Christian on you ask. If you perceive yourself separate from nature, this presents all sin. Well, that assumes that there's sin, but okay, whatever. You can get a leg up on each. I'm not sure exactly what that means, and I mean, it's your belief, but whatever. You can do all these things from the other. When some guy was asked, how do we treat others? There are no others, so there's unity. Okay, but that didn't really answer, like, how do you treat people then? Fine, whatever. But yes, you can rape, murder, and steal. And really the only thing that actually might prevent you from this is, sadly, the threat of losing your life or your freedom or both. Now, is that the way it should be? No, I don't think so. But that's the way it is. Um, maybe, probably. Ethics seems to me to be a more constructed idea of where we point our morals to, and certainly other animals, other primates have displayed morals. Um, let's see. Sure. All right, hold on. There we go. Okay. So here's a video, and let's see if I can get it up here. Let's get. So I want to just kind of get to the experiment itself. So we show it here. So we have two monkeys here, and I don't know. We need sound. We don't need sound. And they're getting treats to do a task, and they're getting the same treats to do the task, but then the one starts getting a different treat, and they get pissed. So they're getting the same treats, and they're doing the task. You know, here's the grape, here's the whatever the hell the other thing is. And they're only giving the one monkey the one type of food, but they're giving the monkey, and he's pissed. He's angry. He's like, wait a minute, that's not fair. The other guy got the grape. I want the grape. Give me the fucking grape. Give me the grape. Give me the grape, you asshole. No, you heard me. It's not fair. No, don't give me that. Oh, no, okay. No, I don't want that. Damn it, give me the grape. No, give me the grape. So he recognizes that he's not being treated fairly. Now, I've seen that they've expanded this and done it for longer periods. The other monkey, this monkey? Yeah. The other monkey sometimes will actually also stop accepting the food because the first monkey is not getting treated well. So that happens too. So there's some morality being developed here. It's not as sophisticated, perhaps, as we get, and maybe we've made things too damn complicated. But regardless, there's certainly an underpinning here, and certainly some sort of ethical system is at play. Although I'm not sure which ethical system you'd place this under. So yes would be the answer. Let's see. As long as you don't recognize the others, ultimately, yeah. Well, I mean, you can still eat. I can take advantage of myself, though. So, I mean, I want the better treat. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we all want the better treat. So the thing is, we don't need the proposition of God to understand morals and ethics. We know that these things arise in us by nature. Now, if you want to say nature is God, well, okay, but you don't need the word God. I was going to say about the objective morals, because that's the usual argument that we usually see. So I view it in this way. The ethics is the rule that you're aiming toward, and the moral is trying to get there. So in reference to the ethic of, let's go with the legal one of don't run the red light, but there are times where it's permissible to run the red light due to circumstances. So if not running the red light would cause an accident, then it's permissible to do so. If I'm in a vehicle that has a siren, then it's permissible to run the red light. You know, there's certain circumstances that make it okay to do that. But maybe the ethic is obey the law as much as I can, unless obeying the law would cause harm to myself or others. Or maybe the law, I view it as unjust and unfair. And then I need to find a way to change that law and in some way, shape, or form. Okay. So in that sense, my morals are objective because they have a goal to get to. The ethical goal of X and my morals can be seen as objective in relation to that. But they can also be seen as subjective because there's different ways to approach that goal. And you could also view the ultimate selection of ethics might be subjective. So you could say, well, sure, morals could be objective, but still ethics, whatever you pick as ethics, is subjective. So screw it, I don't know. But I don't see any tie to objective morality, whether it exists or not, to God. It's just there's no association causation. Typically, it's like, well, but God said that this is wrong. But then you have the dilemma of, well, is it wrong because God said it, or is it just wrong? Like, which is it? Like, well, and you get different answers for that. So the fact that we have ways of treating each other is just something that is conductive to living creatures with complicated actions, such as we. Paramecium don't really need morals. Although I suppose you could look at the smallest things that we know about and go, oh, well, the thing that floats to the top of the ocean to get sunlight, because that's what it gets that's how it gets food. And then it goes down again because it likes to be near the warm heat vent or whatever. But every now and again, it has to go back up to the sunlight. And if it gets in the way of another one that's also trying to do it, it might be fine with that because it doesn't, it wants to be the one that is able to clone itself and not let the other one clone itself. But then there might be some advantage to allowing the other one and having cooperation, and that leads to greater complexity, and then that leads to greater cooperation, and there you go. So the final way I'll put it is you can view it as chess. Now there are other ways to play chess than the one that many people and most people know about, where you have the king and the queen, and you have the pawns, and they move in a certain way and all that. Well, yeah, but here's the rules of chess, and that's how to play it. And if you play a different way, then you're not really playing chess. You're playing, well, a version of chess, but it's not chess. I mean, there's Chinese chess, and that one's really different than Western chess, but it's not really Western chess. It's just, one is chess, the other one's Chinese chess. And then you have checkers, and you have Chinese checkers, and you have like Japanese stuff, but they have rules, and you have to agree to play by those rules to play that game. And if you don't play by the rules, people don't like that. If you cheat, people don't like that because you're not actually interacting with the goal of the game, which is, yes, to win, but it's also to cooperate in a way within the rules to allow you to win. So you view the worst game, I think, Monopoly, because it's just, wherever you land, buy the thing, try to buy more, and that's it. That doesn't mean there's some really low strategy in that. It's very, very low. But anyways, you're just trying to drain each other's money away. That's all. And if you grab money from the bank and nobody knows that you did that, nobody notices, and then you win the game, well, you didn't really win. Not really. And I kind of discovered this empty victory, as I call it, as a kid. We played this game with dominoes called Shoot the Moon. You need 3 players, and you get rid of all the blanks except for the double blank, and then you make sets, and you say, well, I bid 4 or I bid 5, however many sets you think you can make, and etc. Anyways, shooting the moon, if you declare it, you get all these points and you basically win the game. But you need certain dominoes to be able to shoot the moon. So I arranged it such so that I got the good dominoes. And then I shot the moon and I won. But I was like, I didn't feel like I won. Like, yeah, I won, but I mean, like, I didn't feel like I won. It didn't feel the same to me. And I noticed that. I was like, that's really interesting. Like, I was like, yeah, I won. Yay. Oh, yeah. But it didn't win. I cheated. Like, it's not the same. So yeah, you can cheat, but you also, you're cheating yourself out of the actual victory. Anyways, so it's complicated. Morals and ethics are complicated, and I don't see any causation and association with God, but I do understand that people link that because there are rules in different religions. Different religions say, here's the rule. But usually when dealing with religions, not all, but many, most, I would dare say, are under the ethical system divine command theory. And I have a video, of course I have a video about divine command theory. I believe I called it DCT. Yep, I did. Objective morals, DCT. I was right. I'm a genius. Here it is. Put that over here. And so you guys, gals, robots can watch that if you want. You learn not to. No. Well, I don't cheat anymore. And two blue whales and true krill. I mean, the krill need you 3 years to flutter ages of blue. Yeah, great design. Yes, brilliant. Why not just make the universe in a way where free energy actually exists, where you can put in that you don't need to eat anything, just you have infinite energy. Like, why not make it that way? It's just when okay, a little bit of analogy, and then I'll wrap this up, I suppose, or whatever. You can look at a game like Minecraft, for example, and it's a very, you might like it, you might not like it, whatever. I enjoy playing it from time to time. But the program, you're limited to some degree with what you can program the program to do, because the computer is limited to what it can do. And you're further limited by what the majority of computers on the planet can do. And presumably you want to sell a lot of this game. And the original dude, the Mojang group, the original guy, Notch, he got, however many millions for, once he sold it to Microsoft, and now he's rich, and he's like, yeah, this is nice. I don't know what to do now. Cool, But if you wanted to design a computer from the ground up, you could have it do things that you could make a game for that would do things that Minecraft could not do. But it would only work on that one machine because that machine is specifically built to do it. So you could have a claw attached, some like a robotic claw attached to the computer that would come and pick up a cube and move it somewhere and then put it down. And so whatever thing you're building in the game, you're also actually building in real life, And so you could do that. But you're still limited to the things that you can actually have a computer do. So you cannot make a computer that will levitate things off of the ground, because levitation is not anything that we can do. But if you could make physics how you wanted, then you could make it so that you could levitate whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted, and that would be interesting. And if you can make all the rules of the rules, then you can make it any way that you want. And there's zero excuse then for not making it the best possible way that there is to make it. And to introduce flaws into it would mean that you are flawed. We can make a better reality simulator than the reality that we exist in. So if this reality was made by a designer, the designer was kind of dumb. But that's my view. I'm a skeptic. What do I know? Thanks for listening. And I'll see you all some other time. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. Lobsters exist. And hopefully we can all agree on that. Yeah, that's it. Good day, man.